Last year, Jazz St. Louis and Opera Theater joined forces to produce an opera called Champion. It received rave reviews, but even more importantly, it demonstrated the possibilities for collaboration between two very different kinds of arts organizations and musical genres. Up next, we hear from two of the leaders of that collaboration in the latest of our ongoing series, Art Fusion.
Last year in 2013, we saw a project come to fruition that had been years in the making, and that was the creation of an opera in jazz. That's right. Written by the noted trumpet player, film score, composer, Terence Blanchard, one of the finest jazz musicians out there.
This piece tells a very meaningful story. About a welterweight champion of the world named Emil Griffith. True story, 1962, welterweight champion of the world, tragically killed his opponent in the ring on live national television. His opponent had mocked him at the weigh-in of the fight for being gay. The cultures of how jazz gets written and produced and put together and how opera gets written and produced and put together are pretty different, mostly in terms of timeline, right? So when Gene and I first had this conversation, it was 2008. And then he and I ran into each other after we'd rolled it around for a little while, and I said, yeah, I think we have a slot for that project in 2013. And Gene sort of looked at me like, 2013? Yeah. But that's what it takes to get an opera from the germ of an idea through writing a libretto. So we were able to get the Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Michael Christopher to write a beautiful libretto for this piece, to getting the composer to write the music, and then workshops.
Yeah, I mean, for jazz music, we're in the moment, it's like we create, the music, it just exists in that one moment. So, to think about something that was going to be, I guess, what would that be, 5 years off in the future, that seemed like a really long time, but it's actually kind of surprising how quickly it seemed to come, to come to fruition.
Well, when you talk about collaboration, man, when you're dealing with very different worlds, I always make a joke. You got to believe in the power of prayer. Is that these guys, we've had some tough conversations, about musical issues, social issues, dramatic issues. It's been a process that I've loved because in those very tough conversations, you can see everybody involved in this particular collaboration is trying to service the story. I never got the sense that anyone had a personal agenda.
You hit bumps in the road in any collaboration. And what was important is that I always knew Gene would tell me exactly what was on his mind. He would save me if there was something going wrong that I could prevent, that my organization needed to be careful to, because that's the issue in collaborations, right? You've got these organizations that have all kinds of parts, and if one sort of slights the other unintentionally, things can kind of snowball out of control. And so we just had a sort of direct line of communication, like, let's just deal with it as it comes up, as it is, and let's always agree that we're going to work it out.
Right. Everybody plays a role in doing it. And I think knowing what your role is and what the roles of everybody else are is something that made the collaboration very successful.
One of the prerequisites is, does each party in the collaboration have needs that the other and only the other can meet? And in this case, that was exactly the case.
Yeah, you really need to think through what you want to do and what you want to achieve from it. If it's just welcoming somebody into your space, that's one thing, and that's okay. But if you want to have a real impact, then you have to think about what is the discussion that we want to have. What's the thought that we're trying to impart?
And is this a project that is a genuinely worthwhile project that neither of us could pursue on our own, but together we can make happen? Because a collaboration for a collaboration's sake is not interesting. It's what can we achieve together, and if that is worth pursuing, then it's worth all the work involved in making a collaboration succeed.
And you have to make sure that you put the time into it that it's going to take to do it right.
Yeah.
If it takes 6 years, if it takes 7 years, then that's okay.
I think tone setting too is important. That if there's two organizations working together, then it's got to be clear to everybody at both organizations that we are partners in this, and we find ways to set that tone at every opportunity. If one party in one organization can shift blame to the other, or say, oh, I thought they were taking care of that, or what have you, it has to be a kind of, we're not going to entertain those discussions. We're partners, we're going to figure this out together. We're going to succeed together or not succeed together.
And the best part about it is that now we have something that, as Tim was saying, is something for the ages. I mean, years from now, people are going to be talking about this, and they're going to talk about the fact that it happened here, and they're going to talk about why it happened here. And my dream for St. Louis is that, 100 years from now, that somebody's going to be sitting in class reading about this time in St. Louis, and there will be all these examples of these great collaborations between different organizations that are now part of the canon.
The items we have on our plates are more similar than they are different, right? And so it is nice to be able to sit down and compare notes, and know that we're always sort of going to have one another's back, so it's to me. If actually, I'll tell you, there's a few things I've learned from Gene, and one of them is Gene's core values at Jazz St. Louis are articulated, and they're very excellent. And there's two of them that I've stolen for our own organization, and one of them is continuous improvement, which is a great ethic that every musician has, every artist should have. This idea that I can always get better, and as an organization, we should always have that. And the other is fun. If it's not fun, why are we doing this? That's a new core value of Opera Theater of St. Louis.
That's right. Last year, in 2013, we saw a project come to fruition that had been years in the making, and that was the creation of an opera in jazz.
You hit bumps in the road in any collaboration. One of the prerequisites is, does each party in the collaboration have needs that the other, and only the other, can meet?
Years from now, people are going to be talking about this time in St. Louis, and there will be all these examples of these great collaborations between different organizations that are now part of the canon.